It's really not been a very. It hasn't been a very nice couple of days here. It's really cold. It's like 4 or 5 degrees Celsius right now
Uh-huh.
outside. Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
October, so it's not December, but it's too cold. But yeah,
But I don't remember. Where do you live?
I live in Wisconsin, which is like the northern part of the U.S.,
Ah,
north central U.S. So close to Chicago. Chicago gets a lot of snow. It's a very cold place.
yes.
Maybe you've heard about that. Yeah, it's not really that fun. But did you do something interesting recently? Did you visit somewhere nearby or nearby
The,
Naples?
this summer I've been nearby Naples working, but in the September I went on holidays on the other side of the world in Indonesia.
Nice. In Indonesia. Wow.
Yes,
How was that?
yes, fine, fine.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
mhm.
Did you go
You,
to Bali or
yes,
Jakarta?
Bali, Bali,
Bali, very
Bali,
nice, very
near
nice.
Australia. Yes,
That's great. They
but
have a lot of good weather, a lot of nice beaches, right?
yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mm.
Um, and let's see, what else can we talk about here? Did someone join? Oh yeah, Humul joined. Hey Humul, how's it going?
Everything is okay.
Good, good, fantastic. Um, so Giorgio, you went to Bali. Did you go to, where is the craziest place that you went to in
The,
in like in the world or maybe just in Indonesia?
the crazy place in the world I've seen.
Yeah, huh?
Just together with Bali, I can assert that Cuba,
Oh, Cuba as
Cuba,
well.
Cuba is the craziest one.
Why was it so crazy?
The people are crazy. The
Wow.
people are crazy.
Cuba is one of those places that we actually Americans can't go. So we we need special permission if we want to go, unless we have
Yes, yes,
family. Yeah.
yes, yes. I know.
So that makes it a little bit difficult. But I think their culture is really fun, right? Lots of dance, lots of music, lots of food, right?
Hmm. Yes, yes. They do party every time.
They have it. Like every day is a party for them, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Unfortunately, I guess sometimes life is too serious for us, right? We forget that
Hmm.
we should have fun as well. That's
Yes.
cool. That's
Hmm.
really cool. I'm trying to think of, did I hear anything interesting about Bali recently? I mean, they have a lot of nightclubs, they have a lot of beaches and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, I don't really know if if what else is there really. I mean, I know the weather is always really warm, right?
Hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people making
hmm They're surfing there.
surfing. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
And they probably enjoy doing a lot of, like, I don't know what kinds of dance they have in Bali, but I think it's pretty, like,
hmm.
maybe it's tropical dances, and I know that a lot of
Hmm.
Australians visit, right? Bali all the time.
Hmm. Hmm. It was plenty
Interesting.
of Australians.
Lots of Australians, yeah. I think sometimes the people in Bali are a little they might not like the Australians so much because there are so many of them coming all the time.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Cool, cool. Um, Humud, did you do anything interesting recently that you wanted to talk about?
No, I haven't.
Nothing interesting, nothing fun.
Nothing interesting these days.
Is the vacation still going on for Eid?
No, this is the second day on school term.
So school opened yesterday.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Nice, nice. That's good. That's good. So you guys get 1 week or 5 days for Eid?
we had 11 days.
Oh, 11 days. Never mind. So I forgot when Eid was then. Wednesday of last year, or Tuesday maybe. Okay. Yep, yep, yep. That makes sense. So nice vacation, and then everyone's back to work now. Uh, how's the traffic? How's the traffic in Jeddah today? Did you leave the house?
Yes, I can leave the house and I can go outside. No traffic jam.
No traffic. That's good. That's good. I know you were telling me yesterday that sometimes the traffic is crazy. Excuse me, guys. Wow. I think it's because it's cold here. I'm getting all these sneezes. All right, guys. So let's get started real quick. We are going to be looking today at the first conditional, right? And how do we use the first conditional? So the first conditional is a construction in grammar that we use to talk about things that are possible or likely to happen in the future, right? So we use the first conditional to talk about things that are possible or likely to happen in the future, right? And the way we make this the first conditional is we say, for example, one example is, if it rains, I will take my umbrella, right? So we're talking about something that is possible or likely to happen, right? If it snows, I will clean my driveway, right? Or I will clean my car, right? Because obviously when it snows, things get crazy. People don't, you can't see anything, you can't do anything, right? So what is the construction? The construction, actually, before I move on, right? The first conditional we use to talk about things that are possible or likely to happen, and they can't be, they have to be realistic situations, right? We can't talk about unrealistic things like, you know, winning $1 million or going to Mars or something crazy like that. They have to be realistic situations, right? So the construction that we use is when we're making the first condition. It's not that tough a construction. Oh, Humud, I'm back in Wisconsin, so I'm back in where I live in the U.S. I was in Turkey 2 months ago, actually, but no more. And I was in Washington, D.C. last week, but I'm back home now. Yeah. So looking at this idea, guys, right, how do we make this first conditional, or the first condition? We use the word if, and then we have a subject, right? So if whatever, if it rains, if you visit, you know, if you visit tomorrow, I will cook for you, right? Whatever. So the subject, if plus the subject plus a verb in the simple present, right? Then we have a comma or a break, and then we write the subject again, or a different subject, will, and then the base form of a verb, right? So what's an example? Like I said before, if it snows tomorrow, right, I will clean my car, right? So if, and then the subject in this case is it, right? And then the simple present is snows. And then I'm just adding tomorrow, or I could have also left out the tomorrow. I could have excluded the tomorrow. It doesn't really matter. If it snows, or if it snows tomorrow, I, with the subject, will clean my car, right? So that base form is clean, right? I'm not conjugating this verb. I'm not changing this verb. I'm just writing clean. I'm not saying cleaned, cleans. No, just clean, right? And remember, the focus is on realistic situations. We have to be very, very, very clear about this, right? We are talking only about realistic situations. We are not talking about something that is crazy, that may not happen in the future, right? Or that it's not possible to happen in the future. So, Giorgio, could you give me an example of a sentence in the first conditional?
Okay. If the temperature drops, I will wear heavy clothes.
If the temperature drops, I will wear heavy clothing, right? Or you can say heavy clothes, right? Heavy clothes or heavy clothing, right? Fantastic. Humud, you already wrote one here. Can you share that with us?
Okay. If I have a lot of money, I will travel abroad.
If I have a lot of money, I will travel abroad. Fantastic, right? So this is something that is possible in the future, right? You're not saying if I have $1 billion, right? If I have some money, if I have a lot of money, I will travel in the future, right? And you also wrote one, if you study hard, you will pass the exam, right? So both of them fantastic examples. If you study hard, right, you will pass the exam, right? So that really is the entire idea behind the first conditional, right? It's possible situations that are likely that are not outlandish, right? That they can happen, and that's the construction that we use, right? We can also make a negative form of this construction, right? We can also make a negative form, and the negative form is simply that we will change the will to a will not, right? So when we want to make this first conditional negative, all we say is, for example, if it rains tomorrow, I will not go outside, right? So if plus the subject plus the simple present, then we have the other subject and then will not and the base form of the verb, right? The only difference. So there's two types. There's the positive and then there's the negative. Giorgio, could you give me an example of this negative?
Okay. If my car engine doesn't start, I will call a taxi.
Exactly, right? If my car engine doesn't work, I will call a taxi. Fantastic. And what's another way to say will not, guys? If you don't want to say will not, how can we make it smaller? Instead of saying will not, we can use a contraction, right? Won't. So will not can also be won't if you won't if you want to say it that way, right? So Humud, can you give me an example with this one? With the negative?
Okay. If the weather is bad today, I will not take a picnic.
Yeah, if the weather is bad today, I will not go on a picnic. I will not go on a picnic, or I will not arrange a picnic, right? Fantastic. If the weather is bad, you don't want to do that, right? If the weather is bad, I will not go outside. That's another one, right? Any questions, guys, on the construction so far of these first two types?
No.
No.
It's pretty easy, right? It makes sense. It makes sense. We have the simple present, and then we have the base form of the verb, right? Nothing really crazy about that. And the other thing that I want to talk about is we can also say, for example, you can switch this around to be two different things, right? You can switch it around so that the second part of the sentence comes in the beginning and the first part comes in the second part, right? So you can change it. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Like here, all these times that we're looking at the verb or at this construction, we are saying, if it rains, I will not go outside. You can also say, I will not go outside if it rains, right? You can just switch the order and it makes complete sense. So let's see the construction of this then. It will simply be the subject plus will or will not, then the base form, and then the subject, and then if the subject and the simple present, right? So just switching the order. Giorgio, do you mind giving me an example of this?
Okay. I will not go outside if it's cold.
Fantastic. Or did you have another example? Yeah. Did you want to say something else, Giorgio? I think maybe I cut you off at the very end. Sorry about that.
Another example?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think maybe you wanted to say something besides if it's cold. If it rains, if it's cold, whatever, right? You can use anything in that second part. Good job with that. Good job with that. And Humud, from you.
Yeah, what do you want?
If you can make another form of this last sentence here, of the reverse order. So if you say the will first and then the simple present second. See this last construction in the chat window? So before we were saying if it rains tomorrow, I will not go outside, right? You
I
can
will
switch.
go. I
Yeah.
will not go out. I will not go on a picnic if it is rain. If it is rain outside.
Yeah, I will not go on a picnic if it is raining or if it rains, right? I will not go on a picnic if it rains. So fantastic. We have the will first and the simple present in the second part, right? Um, any questions, guys, on this last part of the first condition?
No question.
No questions. Okay, fantastic. And Giorgio, from you?
No, no,
No
it's
questions so
okay.
far?
It's
Okay.
okay.
So I want to just take a quick second here. This lesson was kind of quick, and I want to say, if we have time at the end after our discussion, I want to take a look at the pronunciation for this class also. But right now, let's actually take a look at the article. So today, we are going to be learning about a vaccine for malaria that has been tested, and scientists are optimistic that this will be something that is released into circulation, right? And it may be available as early as maybe next year, so that we can treat malaria. And what do you guys know about malaria so far? What is malaria?
Malaria is a disease caused by some mosquito. I'm wrong. Caused by some mosquito. Is present in some areas of the world. I'm not sure, but I think in Africa, and I don't know in which other places.
India.
India, yes, in India, and it causes very high fever to people, and often causes the dead.
Absolutely.
Cause dead.
Absolutely. And do a lot of people die each year from malaria, Giorgio, from what you know?
You mean if I know how many people died for malaria?
Oh, no, because I don't think anybody knows. But do you think a lot of people know, or a lot of people die every year? Is it a big problem for Africa, for India, these places?
Yes, I think yes.
It is, right? It absolutely is. And Humud, what do you know about malaria?
I know it is a bacteria, and it comes from a polluted water.
Well, it could be. I think there may be a lot of different sources, right? It is caused by it is carried by mosquitoes, right? So when we heard from when we were talking to Giorgio, right? It's caused by mosquitoes, and specifically female mosquitoes, right? When a female mosquito bites a person, it can send this. I guess it's so. In English, we call this a protozoan. A protozoan is a type of organism, a very small, different from bacteria, I think, but similar enough that it's a very small organism called a protozoan. So when the female mosquito bites into the person's skin, and they can release this into the blood of the person, right? And this protozoan then travels to other places of the body and causes fever, headache, right? And it can lead to death, right? And this is it's a very tropical disease. So you think about India and Africa and places like that. It affects a lot of people. And where are mosquitoes born? Mosquitoes are usually born in what kind of water?
I don't
Swamp.
know. Slump, yes.
Yeah, right. A swamp area or standing water, right? Very maybe dirty water. And in tropical countries, you have a lot of rain. You have a lot of pools of water, puddles, and things like that. Mosquitoes easily grow in those areas, right? Or mosquitoes are easily, they lay their eggs in those areas. They're born in those areas, and it can cause a lot of different problems, right? So let's take a look at this article then, guys. Currently, there is no vaccine, right? All these people have been dying, and there is no vaccine for malaria, but scientists are hopeful that maybe the first one is on its way. So, first malaria vaccine moves a step closer to approval, right? So looking at this right here, we see this is a child in Africa, in Kenya, and this vaccine that they are trying now, this is a clinical trial they are administering to this child. I feel bad for this child. He's crying, right? I think it's not a fun vaccine. Maybe it hurts the baby. So a malaria vaccine studied in more than 15,000 African children, right, has been found to reduce the number of cases of disease by 27 to 46%. That's a significant decrease, right? That's only modest efficacy compared to most accepted vaccines. But this would be the first anti-malarial immunization on the market, and its developers emphasize that it still prevents a lot of cases. Its main sponsor, GlaxoSmithKline, this is an American company, American pharmaceutical company, says it's good enough to justify seeking regulatory approval in 2014. So they want to get approval for this vaccine next year. Specifically, for every 1,000 toddlers who had the 3-dose vaccination, there were 941 fewer cases of malaria over the following 18 months. Those who didn't get the vaccine had 1,800 cases per 1,000 children, a rate reflecting the fact that most of them suffer more than one case a year. So, you know, young children, like this child maybe, right? Some children who got the vaccine, they had much less cases, much fewer cases of malaria than the kids who did get, than the kids who didn't get the vaccine, right? And to get some of these children had more than one case of malaria in a year, right? Maybe they got the disease in the first part of the year, and then a few months later they got it again, right? So really it is very terrible, and it's affecting children in a very, in a very negative way. Preventing 941 cases for every 1,000 young children vaccinated suggests that it has potential for a pretty big public health impact, says Dr. David Caslow of the PATH Malaria Vaccine Initiative, one of the study's sponsors. Those are some pretty big numbers of cases averted, right? The new data presented Tuesday at a malaria vaccine conference in Durban, South Africa, extends results released last November, which gave the first indication that this vaccine, called RTSS, has limited effectiveness. But Dr. Monsef Slaoui, Chief of Vaccine Development at GlaxoSmithKline, says even a vaccine of modest effectiveness can have a big impact because malaria is such a monumental problem in Africa, right? So even though this vaccine is not amazingly effective, right? It's making changes, it's making small changes. Even these small changes are very important for a place like Africa where malaria is such a big problem, right? Malaria in sub-Saharan Africa kills around 600,000 children every year. 600,000 kids a year are dying to malaria, which is an enormous number, right? He's been working on the RTSS vaccine for nearly 30 years. The African study, which involves 11 sites in 7 countries, couldn't demonstrate the vaccine's impact on malaria deaths. That's because children in the study all got the very best treatment, so very few died of the disease. But those who got the vaccine were 36% less likely than those who didn't to get severe malaria, right? So this is actually interesting. The children who got the vaccine were 36% less likely to get the severe malaria, which is really important, right? And the severe malaria is the type that kills a lot of people. So not only does this vaccine prevent the normal malaria, it also prevents the severe malaria, right, by 36%. So still, malaria specialists acknowledge that it's not going to be easy to decide how to use this RTSS vaccine. The new data shows that 18 months after vaccination, it's 46% effective in preventing illness in children. For infants younger than that, it was only 27%. So if a child is between 5 months and 17 months of age, then this vaccination helps 46%, helps decrease malaria by 46%. If a child is younger than 5 months, it's only 27% effective, right? Which is kind of, it's a big difference, right? Talking a difference of 19%. So now the scientists are working to see if they can make a booster shot. Shot, guys, is another way of saying vaccine in American English. We don't say vaccination or vaccine all the time. Sometimes we just say shot, right? Like I got a shot yesterday. So they are coming. They're thinking of making a shot that can strengthen this and make it better, right? So there's no question that everybody would want a higher efficacy of this vaccine, says Dr. Joanna Daly of Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Standard vaccines against other diseases have 80%, sometimes 90% efficacy. But malaria has been such a challenge, and we may never get to those levels, right? So for people who are saying, oh, 46%, this is nothing, this is not 80%, 90% like other vaccines, this doctor is saying it's better than having nothing, right? Because malaria is such a tough disease to treat. And even when people actually catch malaria, the most effective, though undesirable form of immunization, protection against future infection is far from complete, right? So we do see that there are these challenges, right? I'm going to stop here with the article because a lot of this is very specific scientific information. But you know, we see that there is a significant challenge now. What do you guys make of this article? The fact that they have been able to at least clinically experiment or try these, this vaccine. I think it's very effective, right? I think it's very good news. What do you guys think? Let's start with Hamoud. Hamoud, are you there? I think Hamoud may be muted. Let's go to you, Giorgio, then. That's fine.
Okay, I think that they as it said in the article, they are just the first steps in doing an effective vaccine. But I think they should start to use on children, on humans, because only using they can improve it, I think. So it's a good news. Yes, maybe it doesn't work in all with a high percentage because malaria is a virus that presents many variations. I don't know if this is an exact term.
Yeah, variations, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
And so
variations, yeah.
And they studied only this vaccine only for some particular variations of the virus. But it's interesting. It's a good news. So they should start using.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Giorgio. I like that. And Giorgio, could you give me a sentence? You know, sometimes I ask tough questions, right? Could you give me an example of what you said using that first conditional?
Okay. First conditional.
So that construction.
If they use this vaccine on people, they will be able to improve it.
Yeah, fantastic, right? If they use this vaccine on people, or if they start to vaccinate people, they will be able to learn more and develop this vaccine, or they'll be able to develop this vaccine. Fantastic, right? So that's how we use the first conditional, and this is a real possibility, right? I mean, they are already starting the trials. They are getting approval. Maybe within the next few years, they will be able to start this on a larger scale to affect everybody, right? Ken, how's it going? Welcome back.
Yes, I just finished the dinner.
No, no problems. Welcome back. So we're looking at the first conditional, Ken. Do you recall how we make that construction? It's in the
First
chat
comment.
window if you want to check.
Uh, okay, I write down the chat window.
Well, no, no, I'm saying it's in the chat window if you want to check. We talked about it before,
Okay.
but do you
Yes,
remember what it
I got it.
was?
Yes, I think I know. I know it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Did you get a chance to hear the article or to read the article when we were
Yes,
reading?
I was reading the article. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
What's your reaction? What do you think about it?
Yeah, if it could it's a good news and wonderful news because I think in the tropical zone a lot of people died for malaria. So if this vaccine can be used commonly, many people don't have to die.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think, one of the scientists in the article where it was saying that he was working on this vaccine for 30 years, right?
Mm.
So even after 30 years of research and 30 years of investigation, they are still not 100% sure how to maybe it won't be possible to create a vaccine that will deal with everything, right? But they're saying 46% decrease in children from between the age of 5 and 17 months. And for children younger than 5 months, it helps 29%,
Mm.
which I think is still remarkable, right? I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, what are some of the places in the world, Ken, that you think malaria is a big killer?
I
You
think
mentioned tropical zones, right? So,
yeah, tropical zone.
uh-huh.
Yeah, and
What?
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
maybe the mosquitoes bring malaria
They do. They
virus.
do. They do.
Mhm.
Mosquitoes, female mosquitoes are the ones
Mhm.
that carry this malaria, or this. In English, we call it a. It's a small organism. It's not a bacteria necessarily. It's called it's a type of organism called a protozoan, right?
Mhm.
Protozoa are. You know how maybe this is too biological, but there are organisms called protists.
Mhm.
In English, we call them protists. They look like bacteria. Their cell, they look kind of crazy,
Mhm.
but these protists or these protozoans are the ones that when they enter the blood, they can cause fever and in very serious cases they can lead to death,
Mhm.
right?
I see.
So yeah, so I mean, Africa, India, maybe Southeast Asia also, right? Like Indonesia, Malaysia, right? These countries, I think, have a lot of malaria problems.
Mhm.
Um, Japan, I don't think has any malaria, right?
Yeah, because since it is I can say the temperate,
Uh-huh.
so yeah.
It's temperate. It's not a tropical, and also Japan has really good healthcare.
Yeah, I can say so. But even though it's not free, actually, we have to pay the 30%. And for senior citizen, 10% of medical cost.
Oh wow!
Yes,
But it's really good medical care, though, I think.
compare with completely commercial-based insurance in America. Sorry to say so. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the worrisome in America, why I was staying in America, the health insurance actually.
Health
Commercial-based.
insurance.
Yeah.
Health insurance is a disaster in this country. I mean,
Mm.
have you guys heard of something called Obamacare?
Yes,
So,
I know.
yeah, Obamacare is also known as the Affordable Care Act, and I mean, health insurance in this country, it's such a challenge to get people to even understand why health is important, right? I mean, the commercial business aspect of health insurance is just ridiculous. I mean, insurance companies are making maybe hundreds of billions of dollars a year
Mm.
because of because of all the different types of payments they have, and
Yeah, very
I don't,
complicated. Yes,
yeah, even
very.
I don't understand what's going on.
Mm.
And I live here, I mean, there's people are very, very frustrated by what we see. Um, Anyway, though, guys, Giorgio, malaria is not a concern in Italy either, right?
No, neither in Italy.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. You guys are living in societies that have very good health care. And so, next question for you guys, and I'm kind of curious to see, what are some other diseases that we don't have vaccines for? And do you guys think that the discovery of this vaccine or the creation of this vaccine will help scientists investigate other vaccines for other diseases?
The
Maybe.
ADS.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Giorgio.
ADS.
It will be something that helps, right? I mean, I'm trying to think, what other diseases are there? Ken, do you know of any that are very, very bad diseases for people? Maybe cholera. Have you guys heard of cholera?
Oh, yeah.
Cholera is this guy. I don't know how. I think it's a bacteria, right? And I'm trying to think. Do they have a vaccine for this? I have no idea, actually. Oh, maybe they do have a vaccine for it. Yeah, it says, I'm looking on Google, and it's saying that there are a lot of vaccines already available for cholera. So, okay, that one is not something that we have to worry about. What else? I mean, I think malaria is big. HIV is AIDS, exactly right, Giorgio. Is it possible to make a vaccine for HIV, maybe?
They are working on.
Yeah, right. I think it's needed. I think it's another one of those heavy or big diseases that's killing a lot of people, right?
One
Yeah,
of
Ken.
my friend infected dengue fever when he stayed in a tropical country. So it could be the one of the disease, tropical disease in tropical zone.
Yeah, dengue, right? So dengue is also from mosquitoes, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And do they have a vaccine for it?
I don't know.
No, there isn't. There isn't actually. Yeah, it's also work is continuing for dengue, just like the work is continuing for malaria, right? Very, very. I mean, you know what they do for dengue? They try to disperse standing water. So remember how Giorgio, when we were talking about standing water is probably the most. That's the place where mosquitoes are born, right? For dengue, what folks have done is they try to destroy standing water. There's a picture here of that from the 1920s in the United States. They're trying to disperse standing water. I mean, I hate mosquitoes.
Yeah, I know that.
It's one of these things like, I mean, why do we even have this insect on Earth?
It's okay the small amount of donation of my blood, but this kind of problem, infection problem and itchy problem is very annoying.
It's extremely
more
bad.
annoying, yeah. Actually.
It's a very, very difficult situation, I think. And I mean, when we talk about this kind of disease, I mean, it's very, very, very sad, right? How many people are dying? 600,000 children a year.
And one technique kind of to prevent, it's not a medical solution, but how can I say, kind of special tent for preventing mosquito in a bed or sleeping. How can I say?
Yeah, no, you're right.
I heard Japanese NGO, a bed net.
A bed net, exactly.
Yeah, and some NGO group, sending bed nets to these nations. Yeah.
Absolutely, and there is so NGOs are doing a lot of this stuff, right? But there is another website that I think you guys maybe would love to look at. It's very relevant to this article. It's called nothingbutnets.net, right? So I like this website because it also has, instead of .com, it's .net. And what they do is, this is an organization that is, all they do is you pay some money, you can donate $5, $10, 10 euros, 10 yen, whatever, right? Or actually 10 yen is very low, maybe 100 yen, right? And all they do is they buy nets and they distribute the nets all over Africa. All over Africa, right? So these bed nets, like we heard from Ken, these bed nets, how do you use these nets, Ken?
Simple. Just hang the bed net, that kind of full part of the room. That's it. And when you enter the inside the bedroom, kind of wave the bedroom, the lower part of the bed net, and it prevents mosquito get inside to the bed net. And
Absolutely.
when you get out, the same action, waving the bed net a bit.
Yeah. When I was in Bangladesh, actually, as a child, I remember when I was at my grandmother's house. Her house is on a large hill, kind of in the mountains. It's a very beautiful place, but there are a lot of mosquitoes in the summertime. And even though malaria is not as big a problem in the countryside, I think because the countryside, a lot of there are more rivers, not really standing water, right? Or I mean, whatever. It still affects people there. But I remember when I was a child, I had to use these mosquito nets. Like I would go inside the net, and my mother would say, "Come in, quick, quick, quick! You have to go in quick," so that no mosquitoes get me. But yeah, and I sent a picture to you guys. That's what it looks like, right? So it's a large net, has small holes for air, but not for mosquitoes, right? So very, very interesting kind of situation. Had you seen this before, Giorgio?
Yes, I found one of these net when I was on holidays this summer in Bali.
Oh, so you guys saw it over there too, in Bali?
I was in a cottage in one of the stops I did during the holidays. I was been for 3 days into a cottage in the jungle, so I had a bed with this kind of net.
That is awesome. And how was that experience? Did you hear of people who were maybe who had dengue before or malaria before, or was it?
Yes, dengue, but not in Bali. When I was working in Cuba, there was an epidemic of dengue, and so yes, in that period. So each morning come people from the government in the house of everyone, and use that a sort of smoke to disperse to prevent the mosquitoes come.
And what does smoke do? I think mosquitoes hate smoke, right?
Yes, me too. Hate smoke.
Yeah,
it's a smoke with a bad smell.
Yeah, I saw the same thing when I was in India. They or when I was in Bangladesh, they have every night right before sunset, the large hotels, the hotels where a lot of Western tourists are coming, and a lot of the large government buildings, right? They actually, yes, this coil also can. I'll ask you about this coil in just a bit, but what they do is they set off these small bombs things. I mean, it's very harmless. But what they do is they just release smoke, right? And they release smoke and they cover maybe the entire parking lot or a large area outside the building. And for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, it's just white smoke, right? And then after the smoke leaves, apparently the mosquitoes will never approach that area for maybe 12 hours, 13 hours because of the smell, So it's a good, effective tool for that. And what about these coils, Ken, that you're talking about?
It's common. People use kind of this polyethylene coil. It's kill mosquitoes actually.
It does.
They
It does. I've seen these mosquito.
Now,
Yeah.
in the past it was smoke, but nowadays electric coil is available or spray type coil is available. So no
Hmm.
smoking, no smell, but
And what does
it kills mosquito.
so does it directly kill the mosquito? Like if a mosquito
Yes,
flies near it, then it dies?
yes. Flying mosquito died and they, fell into the floor, on the floor.
Wow, that's crazy. You know what's really sad is just the females carry malaria,
Yes,
right? Just the
especially
females.
when she was pregnant, they need it needs protein
Uh-huh.
to newborn baby.
Ah,
So
so
in the winter time, they suck kind of juice of grass or something. But in the
mhm.
summertime, when they pregnant, male mosquito suck our blood or animal blood.
Wow. I mean, look at all the. I mean, talk about how organisms live and how
Mhm.
they.
And interesting development is happening around a mosquito, painless needle. Researchers
Painless
now,
needle.
yeah, developing painless needle. Shot needle for shot.
Uh-huh.
It's pain. It's painful for humans,
Uh-huh.
but researcher nowadays research the shape of mosquitoes needle and the way of how they bite, us.
Yeah.
So gradually they realize it can be applied to painless needle to humans.
That's very interesting. And I just found an article about this, Ken, that maybe you guys want to look at. It says, so, wow, so because when mosquitoes bite us, we can't tell, right?
Hmm.
It's because it's
Kind of.
so painless, but it's very painful later if you get dengue or
Yeah.
something,
Right.
right? But it's painless when they are actually biting us. And that is so awesome. If we can figure out how it's painless and then make a vaccine that uses the same technology
Hmm.
or that has the same effect. Because what's the worst thing of getting a shot? How much it hurts, I think, right? Depending on the shot, if it's like, have you guys ever seen a smallpox vaccine?
Maybe.
Like the smallpox vaccine, the actual needle, there's like 6 needles.
Ah, yes, I got it.
You got it in
When
the
I was
past
a kid,
before?
yeah, I
Yeah.
got, yeah.
I saw my mom has it, also got it. It was on her arm, I think, somewhere. And it was a massive, like that is a huge needle, right? Like the smallpox vaccine, like 6 things, like I mean, she still has the scar on her elbow
Yeah, yeah.
or
Mhm.
on her arm here, right? I never got it, but I wouldn't want to get it, right? Looking at how crazy it was. Giorgio, did you ever see that vaccine?
Yes.
The one for smallpox, right?
Yeah.
Because I think they eradicated smallpox because of this vaccine. I think they 1970s. Did you guys hear about that? How there's no smallpox now because I think in the
Wow.
1970s they
Mm,
vaccinated every human being on
mm,
Earth.
wow.
Yeah, I wish we could do
Uh,
that with something like malaria maybe, but
Mm,
maybe not possible. Um,
mm,
anyway, guys, let me ask another question here. So, why do you think? So when we talk about diseases like malaria, right? Like 600,000 kids a year are dying from malaria in sub-Saharan Africa. Why is malaria neglected? Why do we not hear enough about it, right? Every now and then we hear about other diseases. Like a few years ago we heard about SARS. We heard about swine flu, bird
mm,
flu.
mm,
Why don't we hear about malaria as much? I mean, 600,000 people a year, that's
mm.
a massacre. I mean, this is an epidemic. Why don't we hear about it?
mm,
Maybe, the people who are not living that country and, the news is not so sensational. Kind of, if you say the figure, it could be sensational, but SARS is a kind of new type of scary outbreak of kind of thing. It could be catchy for kind of audience, readers or viewers of TV. So media covers such news more than malaria news.
Mm-hmm. And Giorgio, do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree, and also I think that there could be some commercial motivations too. I don't know.
Maybe commercial motivations in the sense that, I mean, when I think of news, I think of something that is sensational, right? News that is popular is news that is sensational, right? And if you're talking about malaria and children in Africa, it doesn't have that same level of sensational news stories that SARS does, or swine flu, or something like that. I mean, it's sad, isn't it? But that's the case.
That's
because these other diseases affect us, could affect us. So yes.
Yeah. Even though so many other people, I heard something about just like diarrhea, which if you go to any pharmacy, you can find, medicine to stop diarrhea, right? Or I mean, it's such a basic thing. You take a tablet, you rest, and you're done, right? But diarrhea, I think, kills 10,000 kids a year in Africa.
Yeah.
Right? What does that average out to? 365 days a year, 10,000 kids. That averages out to what, like 30 kids a day or something? Right? Or actually, maybe my math is completely off. 10,000 divided by 365. 30 kids a day. Yeah, roughly 30 kids a day. Right? One kid every hour. In the time that we are having this class, somebody in Africa is dying from diarrhea.
And another reason, I guess, they don't have influential media. So
that's right.
Maybe that's another reason.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a voice to speak up.
How can we help, guys? Is there ways we can help?
I heard for the symptom of dehydration, one solution is nowadays, even though the poor family can get some sugar, so in order to use such sugar, they can make a kind of sports drink type water. It can help dehydration people after diarrhea. Diarrhea, sorry, for the pronunciation.
Yeah, no, these are all difficult words to pronounce. Ken, go ahead. But yeah, go ahead.
So some NGO group, kind of, how can I say, give information about that in Africa or some other countries.
Yeah, absolutely. I think NGOs are doing a lot of this work, right? They are sending, like for example, with the nets, nothingbutnets.net. They have all of these organizations that are working on the ground, right, in these countries. They are developing the technology. They are sending this technology to the countries, and I think, I mean, for malaria, it'll be interesting to see how this kind of develops. Maybe in 2 years they can reach 60% efficacy, right? 60% efficiency when it comes to this stuff. Giorgio, what else can we do? Should we support NGOs? Should we support these organizations?
Yes, we could support. We can send a net.
We can send a net, right? Exactly. We can maybe donate money or help them with that kind of stuff. But would it be? I mean, should we also maybe pressure our media to do more reporting on this, right? Is that a possibility as well?
Yes, we can share something on Facebook.
Yeah, right. We don't need to wait for the BBCs and the CNNs and the NHK or not NHK. I'm sorry, Aka. What's the name of the channel in Japan?
NHK is a kind of public channel.
It is,
Public
okay.
supported channel. Yeah.
Nippon something, right?
Nippon Hoso, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But people say NHK.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Abbreviation.
we don't have to wait for the NHKs and the BBCs, and I don't know what channel you guys have in Italy, Giorgio. What's the news channel?
It's named RAI. R-A-E. R-A-I.
Right.
R-A-I.
Oh, RAI. Uh-huh. So Radio something Italia.
Yes.
Okay.
Radio
Nice.
and television Italian.
Nice, right? So, yeah, we don't have to wait for these guys to give us all this information, right? I mean, we can spread the word in our social circles, you know, family, friends, colleagues, Facebook, Twitter, right? But how long do you guys think before we eliminate this problem? Like smallpox with a vaccine, we were able to eliminate in, I think, 20 years, right? They started in the 1960s. By the 1980s, there was nobody on Earth with smallpox. I mean, it was such an aggressive movement. Do you think maybe if we work with NGOs and donate money that we can also find a solution for malaria? Is it possible?
It is possible.
But it'll take time, I think.
Yes.
Unfortunately. What about, okay, let me see, guys, if there's any other, do you guys have any other questions about what we looked at today? So we looked at the first conditional, we looked at this article about malaria. Anything that you wanted to talk about or was confusing or wanted to mention? Questions? Concerns? And Ken, what is this? This is the freerice.com?
Yeah, it's a kind of a program, and we can, you know, if I answer correctly for the English or some other subject, maybe UN, United Nations donate 10 grain of rice to World Food Program.
Wow. Are they?
Yeah.
Are they actually? Somebody is actually counting the number or how many answers are correct?
Yeah. How many grain I result will be shown on this site.
Nice. I really like that because I have already donated 60 grains of rice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I was just clicking this as we were talking, but it's nice, right? I mean, this is a very simple way to do something great for for people in other countries that are having a difficult time with health and with food, right? I think we should give back as much as we can, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, so no questions about any of this stuff? Does it make sense? First conditional, malaria?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, guys. Well, I have classes coming up later tonight. About 12 hours from now, I'll be teaching 2 more classes. Thank you again for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed the class.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
To a certain
Thank
extent.
you.
Yeah, absolutely,
Have a nice
guys.
day.
Yep, you
Bye.
too, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So it's I think sometimes the people in Bali are a little they might not like the Australians so much because there are so many of them coming all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Humud, did you do anything interesting recently that you wanted to talk about?
No, I haven't.
Nothing interesting, nothing fun?
Nothing interesting these days.
Is the vacation still going on for Eid?
No, this is the second day on school term.
So school opened yesterday.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good. You guys had, so you guys get 1 week or 5 days for Eid?
We had 11 days.
Oh, 11 days, never mind. So I forgot when Eid was then. Wednesday of last year, or Tuesday maybe. Okay. Yep. That makes sense. So nice vacation, and then everyone's back to work now. How's the traffic? How's the traffic in Jeddah today? Did you leave the house?
Yes, I can leave the house and I can go outside. No traffic jam.
No traffic. That's good. That's good. I know you were telling me yesterday that sometimes the traffic is crazy. Excuse me, guys. Wow. I think it's because it's cold here. I'm getting all these sneezes. All right, guys. So let's get started real quick. We are going to be looking today at the first conditional, right? And how do we use the first conditional? So the first conditional is a construction in grammar that we use to talk about things that are possible, plus a verb in the simple present, right? Then we have a comma or a break, and then we write the subject again, or a different subject, will, and then the base form of a verb, right? So what's an example? Like I said before, if it snows tomorrow, right, I will clean my car, right? So if, and then the subject in this case is it, right? And then the simple present is snows. And then I'm just adding tomorrow, or I could have also left out the tomorrow. I could have excluded the tomorrow. It doesn't really matter. If it snows, or if it snows tomorrow, I, with the subject, will clean my car, right? So that base form is clean, right? I'm not conjugating this verb. I'm not changing this verb. I'm just writing clean. I'm not saying cleaned, cleans. No, just clean, right? And remember, the focus is on realistic situations. We have to be very, very, very clear about this, right? We are talking only about realistic situations. We are not talking about something that is crazy that may not happen in the future, right? Or that it's not possible to happen in the future. So, Giorgio, could you give me an example of a sentence in the first conditional?
Okay. If the temperature drops, I will wear heavy clothes.
If the temperature drops, I will wear heavy clothing, right? Or you can say heavy clothes, right? Heavy clothes or heavy clothing, right? Fantastic. Humud, you already wrote one here. Can you share that with us?
Okay. If I have a lot of money, I will travel abroad.
If I have a lot of money, I will travel abroad. Fantastic, right? So this is something that is possible in the future, right? You're not saying if I have $1 billion, right? If I have or likely to happen in the future, right? So we use the first conditional to talk about things that are possible or likely to happen in the future, right? And the way we make this the first conditional is we say, for example, one example is, if it rains, I will take my umbrella, right? So we're talking about something that is possible or likely to happen, right? If it snows, I will clean my driveway, right? Or I will clean my car, right? Because obviously when it snows, things get crazy. People don't, you can't see anything, you can't do anything, right? So what is the construction? The construction, actually before I move on, right? The first conditional we use to talk about things that are possible or likely to happen. And they have to be realistic situations, right? We can't talk about unrealistic things like, winning $1 million or going to Mars or something crazy like that. They have to be realistic situations, right? So the construction that we use is when we're making the first condition, it's not that tough a construction. Humud, I'm back in Wisconsin, so I'm back in where I live in the U.S. I was in Turkey 2 months ago, actually, but no more. And I was in Washington, D.C. last week, but I'm back home now. Yeah. So looking at this idea, guys, right? How do we make this first conditional or the first condition? We use the word if, and then we have a subject, right? So if whatever, if it rains, if if you visit, if you visit tomorrow, I will cook for you, right? Whatever. So the subject, if plus the subject plus.
Just together with Bali, I can assert that Cuba.
Oh, Cuba as well.
Cuba is the craziest one.
Why was it so crazy?
The people are crazy.
Wow.
The people are crazy.
Cuba is one of those places that Americans can't go. So we need special permission if we want to go, unless we have family.
Yes. Yes, I know.
So that makes it a little bit difficult, but I think their culture is really fun, right? Lots of dance, lots of music, lots of food, right?
Yes. They do party every time.
They have it. Like every day is a party for them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Unfortunately, I guess sometimes life is too serious for us, right? We forget that we should have fun as well.
Yes.
That's cool. That's really cool. I'm trying to think of, did I hear anything interesting about Bali recently? I mean, they have a lot of nightclubs, they have a lot of beaches and things like that. I don't really know if what else is there really. I mean, I know the weather is always really warm, right? Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of people making surf.
They're surfing there.
Surfing, yes.
Yeah. And they probably enjoy doing a lot of, like, I don't know what kinds of dance they have in Bali, but I think it's pretty, like, maybe it's tropical dances, and I know that a lot of Australians visit, right, Bali all the time.
It was plenty of Australians.
Lots of us. It's really not been it hasn't been a very nice couple of days here. It's really cold. It's like 4 or 5 degrees Celsius right now. Outside, yeah. It's October, so it's not December, but it's too cold. But yeah.
But I don't remember. Where do you live?
I live in Wisconsin, which is like the northern part of the U.S., north central U.S. So close to Chicago. Chicago gets a lot of snow. It's a very cold place.
Yes.
Maybe you've heard about that. Yeah, it's not really that fun. But did you do something interesting recently? Did you visit somewhere nearby or nearby Naples?
This summer I've been nearby Naples working, but in September I went on holidays on the other side of the world, in Indonesia.
In Indonesia, wow. Yes. How was that?
Yes, fine.
That's awesome. Did you go to Bali or Jakarta?
Yes, Bali.
Bali, very nice.
Near Australia, yes.
That's great. They have a lot of good weather, a lot of nice beaches, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. And let's see. What else can we talk about here? Did someone join? Oh, yeah, Humul joined. Hey, Humul, how's it going?
Everything is okay.
Good, fantastic. So, Giorgio, you went to Bali. Did you go to... Where is the craziest place that you went to in the world, or maybe just in Indonesia?
The crazy place in the world I've seen.
Yeah.